Kıymetli iş ortaklarımız,
Distinguished business partners, esteemed guests, welcome. Today, it's a great pleasure to be with you at Istanbul Market Talks, which has become a tradition. So it's actually a great platform, a great opportunity to share experiences, share insights. As you very well know and very closely feel that the economy, both globally and domestically, as well as the steel industry, are going through challenging times. So when we look at the last 5 years following the pandemic, first we faced some high volatility as well as a stagnation in the manufacturing industry. Following the pandemic, we faced the fight of developed countries against inflation, as well as the central bank decisions. We've experienced geopolitical developments that we've never expected, specifically in the neighboring geographies. We've seen challenges and disrupted supply chains, and we try to find solutions in a joint fashion. The slowdown in the Chinese economy has been on the top of our agenda, specifically as the steel industry, but it also impacted all of the economies around the world. As I said, steel industry was greatly impacted because China is producing over 50% of the global steel. So their hit actually directly affected us, and we've seen unbelievable numbers in export. I mean, the most recent export numbers go up to 10.5 million tons, which means that we're going to see over 120 million tons of steel to be exported by China. As manufacturers, we are directly affected by these developments. And since the beginning of 2025, unfortunately, we were once again exposed to great uncertainty arising from these trade wars. So for players in the steel industry, things are not easy at all. Every day is another fight, and we are faced with the obligation to revise our plans. So we are in a war zone, actually, in our industry. This applies to everyone sitting in this room. Even though we are greatly shaped by external developments, at the end of the day, we are forced to, bear the consequences. So, unfortunately, the positive developments never arise. I mean, due to various reasons, maybe. Under OYAK's umbrella, Erdemir is fighting these challenges as a steel industry player, which, works in every part of industry, including automotive, shipbuilding, wind generation, wind plants and heavy defense industries. I can name a lot more. So we are trying to serve many of the major industries in Turkey. More importantly, in the steel industry, regardless of the conditions, we are still working in a way that sees the future as a promising one. Because regardless of the challenges, we are aware of the responsibility we bear as Erdemir-Isdemir, which is a great responsibility. So, like it was before, this year, we are once again doing our part to, overcome these challenges no matter what. As I've said, today's uncertainty prevents us from estimating what will happen in a week even. And we still continue to invest in the future of Turkey. We have quite a significant investment budget. In the last 4 years, we've invested over $3 billion, which is about 1 billion per annum. From a different perspective, I can say that we are investing, and this equals to about 10% of the total direct investment made in Turkey in a year. So this is quite a significant budget, and these investments will continue. We are performing these investments without any incentives from the government. As you know, under AKTC, since 1997, every steel manufacturer in Turkey cannot benefit from any subsidies because they're outside the scope. However, in other countries, things are a bit different. The owner, let's say, or the architect, the founder of AKTC in the European Union, things are different. So under the decarbonization efforts, the European Union is subsidizing steel industry quite significantly. Other countries, including the US, see the steel industry as a matter of national security, and to protect and to, support the steel industry, they are even competing with each other. So we see new measures to protect the industry every day in other countries. I'm not bringing this up because we need any kind of subsidy or protection, but I'm just bringing it up to emphasize the great need for equal competition, because the pressure of import is quite significant on us. So in the first 4 months of this year, Turkey's consumption of flat steel products shrank by 12%. However, ratio of import is about 50%. So the consumption is going down, and also your sellable market is going down. So can you imagine what it means for a steel manufacturer in Turkey? These numbers mean that importers are actually earning and manufacturers are losing. So these may just sound like some numeric values or some calculations, but that's not the case, because the low price import of today will lead to greater losses in the near future. So competing by price alone will not give us the ability to compete in the international markets. The recently published ISO 500 companies and an analysis of this list tells us that Turkish industry requires a structural reform and that it's under great pressure. Why do we believe that? I will summarize in a couple of items. So I've mentioned the top 500 companies. There are only 21 companies that use high-end technologies. Only 21. In developed countries, actually, this ratio is exactly the opposite. Half of these 500 companies spent no money in R&D in the previous year, so they have zero investments. They wanted to preserve the status quo. 1/3 of these 500 companies lost before tax, lost a bit there. So all of those who profited paid 96.6% of their earnings for financing costs. So these are very challenging conditions, and we're facing them, all of us. So the top 500 industrialists of Turkey are showing us that we need a very rapid transformation in the industry sector. This reason and other reasons show us that Turkey is becoming an import market, and the industry has this risk of being dependent on these imports. But we object to this condition. And we believe this situation needs to change for the future of our country. So Turkey's industry should not depend on a damping of actually imports of low price goods. So if we join our forces, we can change this situation. We can make sure that industrial manufacturing is more productive, of more added value, and more sustainable. That is why we're here, and we will continue to be here. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope demand will be higher and our earnings will be a lot more than today in this towards the end of this year. Thank you.